Season 2.
Welcome to Rage Against the Mainstream, your full spectrum source for all things music, insight, and opinion. My name is Bill, and I'm joined here today with Connor and Steve.
Yo.
Today is December 30th, 2019. We hope all of you guys had a good Christmas out there.
Getting
And
ready for a happy new year.
Absolutely. We're on New Year's Eve's Eve. One of our own just celebrated a birthday. So it looks like our good buddy Steve here.
Yeah, I turned 28. It's a shame I didn't. I had a few days to think about the 27 club, and
Yeah, you made it out.
Yeah, I thought about it. I was like, I was actually taking the train down here. I was like, I could just jump right now, just join the club. Maybe something happens. I don't know. You get a prize.
Get rich after you die.
Yeah, who knows, dude?
This podcast is dedicated in the honor of Steve Heim.
Yeah, but maybe it's like you get there, like if you go do like some like God heaven thing, you show up like, oh, you're 27. Right this way, sir. And they take you to like a table at a restaurant, and it's all of them sitting there like, welcome to the club, bro. I'm sitting there with Jim and Kurt, So what were you planning after In Utero? I just want to know what was the direction.
Kurt, I just want to know what the last thing going through your head was.
But
So what about new or interesting? Anything?
I got DJ Shadow, new track featuring Dave East, Taxin'.
Oh, hell yeah.
It's good. It's got like dark a little bit lyrically, but it's got a funner vibe.
Yeah, you showed me that. It sounds actually really fucking awesome.
Yeah, I like it.
By you, Steve.
So I actually never heard this album. It actually popped up on Apple Music. It wasn't there. Like Nirvana, when you look up a lot of their stuff, like Incesticide wasn't on there. A lot of their live shows weren't on there, but there was a album finally put on there, which was them live at the Paramount in '91.
Oh yeah,
I had never heard that show, and
a lot of people say that's their best performance.
Dude, it's fucking good. The only live album that was on there that was worth listening to, other than Muddy Banks, was Live at Reading. And this popped up, and I'm like, oh, from '91, and it was obviously right after.
Never mind.
Yeah, because he still performs "Smells Like Teen Spirit" like the right way before he started getting really jokey about it.
Yeah.
Rape Me's actually played on it, and that's the only song
From
off
In
of In
Utero.
Utero that they actually perform. And it's obviously played a little bit differently, like the lyrics and stuff. But dude, that album, like, if you don't have a fond appreciation for Nirvana, just because when you see some of their bits of their shows, it's like it's more of like a punk atmosphere. But to actually really hear Kurt like in his peak and listen
Trying.
to that, dude, like, oh my god, like,
yeah,
that's
like
a
even
show.
me being like not a giant Nirvana fan.
Yeah.
I know that show.
That
show's
album
really
is
good.
fucking really good, man.
Jesus doesn't want me for a
That's how it
sunbeam.
starts, dude.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's funny because I always think about like Seattle in '89 with the band that should not be named, and that Paramount show, man, from Nirvana, that would be up there on the list if I could go back.
Yeah, that particular Seattle show, that is my like pinnacle
Yeah,
for
man.
like live shows.
So
like
good.
period.
So good.
Like I almost wish I think we talked about this before, where I wish they had the material from their follow-up album on that tour, because it would have been fucking second to none. You wouldn't have been able to touch it.
Let me ask you a question. Because now there's this new thing with bands where they're like really prohibiting recording devices being used during the shows. They either like lock up your phone or just ask you to respect the band in general. And I was actually talking to a friend about this because I had recently seen a show where that was the case. And so everybody got videos because you were allowed to get a video of the last song. But then we think back, like, what if you were able to like film like that and get some raw footage? And even though you went against the band's wishes, but he brought up Pink Floyd especially. He was like, wouldn't it have been awesome if there was video today of like Animals, the Animals tour, like in their prime? You know, you think of some of the shows that there's no, like, other than the Pompeii, there's like no real old school Pink Floyd recordings. You know,
Well, that goes into another band, Van Halen.
Yeah.
Recently they released, I think I sent you the link. They released footage from the 1978 tour.
Yeah.
Like, and you can't find live videos from that era. Like, you always find them like 82 or 83 after that. But the first album cycle, they have the full show on there.
Yeah.
And like, you hear Eruption, like as it is on the CD, and not like, you know, like the 20-minute drawn out like fucking jerk off session.
Yeah.
Like it's like it sounds like you're fucking listening to the CD, and like Dave can
It's
actually
almost
sing.
like Kurt at Paramount.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's like it's just spectacular. But it was released on like 8mm tape or
Yeah.
something, like, or 8mm film. Like it looks like shit,
Yeah.
but it sounds good because it was taken from the soundboard. It was like I think it was like Key Largo, Maryland or something.
Yeah.
Which is funny because I was listening to the Henry Rollins podcast, or no, it wasn't Henry Rollins podcast. It was a Henry Rollins spoken word thing where he talks about Van Halen.
Party tonight.
He was talking about seeing Van Halen on that tour opening for Ted Nugent, and it was funny because like he's you know talking about the show, and I'm like, yeah, you know, I've seen the live Van Halen videos and I've seen Van Halen live, and yeah, whatever, I can't really see it. But then after seeing that particular show that he was referring to, like it was like a fucking mind blown situation. Like it's just amazing.
I just wish, because I'm thinking about like some of the shows I've seen, if they did like a pressed audio of like one of the best performances from that specific tour.
Well, you'll
And
have
you could go
bands that'll be
buy-
against that kind of shit.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like you can't have like a song remains the same type situation.
Yeah.
Or like Black Label Society's boozed something
Yeah.
something or other. Like I remember there's like that famous video of Zach Wilde flipping the fuck out backstage, like, we're not going to fucking change our set list for these motherfuckers.
Yeah.
And shit like that.
But even so, like they picked one show where they knew they were going to play their best set and they were going to really give it their all. Just for, it's not to say that they're not going to give it their all the whole tour, but like get one audio session and just like release an album for that tour. Because you know how many people like that were at the show that would want to relive exactly what they had just heard and then have that as like a because like I constantly make playlists of the songs I just heard on tour, but it's all the studio versions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I'm not going to make a set list with just random live tracks of specific songs and try to jumble it into. I'd rather just listen to it straight. But if I could actually go back and listen to what I heard song by song and kind of relive that moment constantly.
Well, the thing is, dude, you know, in some dark warehouse somewhere, there's a fucking flash drive with November 16th, 2019 Tool Show. You know that that's
that'd be cool,
recorded somewhere, and that someone has that. Like, there's no way that, like, dude, you see it. Like, these bands put out these live albums and shit, and it's like, you know that they went through and they're like, all right, let's listen to this. Like, let's, you know, there's some jerk off that's sitting at a computer listening through all the live shows to pick out the best one.
Well, that's why I said it, because when I got in the argument with my friend, initially it started, but he kind of put it in perspective because someone did videotape that entire show from their phone.
Yeah.
And I think like it was a respect factor that they did not want it to be recorded.
Yeah.
So my initial reaction is I didn't touch my phone the entire show until, you know, Mater at the end said you can record. But then I think like when I see there's a whole recording, like this guy just fucking straight up said fuck you to them. But then also too, he now has something that's going to be embedded in memory that people are like going to watch it not to see like the mistakes made, but more so just to relive it.
Well, I think probably the major thing with these artists not wanting people to videotape their shows are maybe because the quality, like granted,
They don't-
compared to where we were like 10 years ago, the quality is so much better, but it's like you were saying before, you don't get the full atmosphere, the full sound.
Yeah.
Like if you're sitting there live and the fucking speakers are like shaking your clothes and shit, like you don't get that from a phone.
Yep.
Which I can understand to an extent, but it's like you just said you want to relive something.
Yeah, because you think about shows, because like I couldn't see Animals live.
Yeah.
You know, with Pink Floyd.
I think it goes back to like the Native American saying where it's like the pictures and film and shit steal your soul.
Yeah.
Oh, that's deep, dude. So I said like you weren't meant to see these shows, dude.
You have to
If you
live
were-
it or nothing.
Like it's my fault that I was born in 91 and not in 61. You know?
Yeah.
My fault.
Product of your time.
God damn.
But my newer interesting for this week.
Oh yeah.
My newer interesting is the newest release from Children of Bodom called Hexed. I used to love Children of Bodom. I mean, I still do, but I wasn't sure about how well their new music would be, considering the fact of all the negative press that's going around, like with Alexi. Like all the members have left besides him,
Of course.
and you know, like Rope, he's no longer the guitar player anymore. He's gone. He's been gone for a while. I think he left soon after Blood Drunk, and after hearing the new song, they're definitely on the right track to going back to like that classic Children of Bodom sound.
Yeah.
And I think, honestly, I think they might even be a little bit heavier than they were before. I mean, because Children of Bodom was never like super fucking crazy, like brutal heavy.
No,
They were
they
just-
had that like gothic.
Yeah, they were like
It was like a weird, like it was almost like dark. No, I want to say dark. It was almost like Dimmu Borgir, but more melodic, like
Yeah.
driven towards like a dark tranquility at the gates, melodic sound, but
Yep.
with that gothic theme underlying it.
yeah. Now they're like from what I heard on Hexed, they're definitely a little bit heavier than they were before, and I'm actually looking forward to listening to the whole thing.
Where
On this day in music history,
1942, Frank Sinatra performs as a solo act for the first time, playing to a crowd of screaming teenage girls at the Paramount Theater in New York City. Different Paramount, but I'm sure it was still a great show.
We're talking about old Blue Eyes here.
Yeah.
Talk about wanting to see a show. It would have been cool as shit to see him in his prime, dude.
Frank Sinatra, most notable for giving Quincy Jones his first shot.
yeah,
That's true.
Fast forward 20 years later, 1962, in Nashville, Tennessee, Brenda Lee's home was destroyed by fire.
No
that's a
shit.
shame.
Any Brenda Lee fans in the house?
No.
Okay.
Can't say that.
1968, Led Zeppelin, who were advertised as Led Zeppelin, appeared at Gonzaga University Gymnasium, Spokane, Washington, on their first North American tour supporting Vanilla Fudge.
You know a story about their name, right?
They went over like Led Zeppelin.
No. Frank Zappa said when he was like listening to the original recordings and stuff that he said this band's gonna go down like a Led Zeppelin. Yeah.
Could you imagine how much that concert poster would be worth now with the mispronounced name,
Oh,
Len
yeah.
Zeppelin?
Yo, just speaking of shows like this, just to kind of like get off topic, did you know that I sent you that Black Sabbath's first show in the United States was at
Rowan.
Yeah,
what was it,
Rowan.
Gloucester, where it was
Glassboro
Glassboro. Yeah.
Glassboro University.
Did you know that?
Yeah. it's
I
Rowan.
didn't fucking know that until the other day.
I didn't know it either.
It was
It's
fucking
fucking
around on Facebook. Yeah.
yeah. You saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah, meme culture,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen.
It is kind
We
of
in
cool to
there.
think about it. Like think about it right now. In this neighborhood that we're sitting in, there is a good possibility the Black Sabbath bus could have been traveling down this street.
Fucking Ozzy Osbourne could have pissed in this basement.
He
bro.
could have.
Yeah.
He probably pissed in the sump pump though.
For those of you that are listening, maybe you've heard us talk about this before. This podcast is based out of Glassboro, New Jersey. We are about a stone's throw away from Rowan University, which is where we have found out that Black Sabbath had played their first United States show.
It's crazy.
Funny enough, Michael, veteran, other host of the
Cursed
podcast,
soil.
other famed co-host of the podcast, Michael has played at Glassboro University.
Oh, yeah.
With his
At
old,
the Black Sabbath show.
not at the Black Sabbath show, but it was a couple years after that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
It all comes full circle.
1979, Emerson, Lake and Palmer announced their breakup.
Oh,
Ooh,
They weren't very lucky men that day.
definitely not.
definitely we're not.
1999, George Harrison, famous for his holiday single "Ding Dong Ding Dong," and his wife were attacked in their home during a robbery. Though Harrison was stabbed in the chest 4 times, he and his wife were able to subdue the assailant until police arrived.
It's like
That
one
guy
of those-
actually died.
No,
They
yeah,
beat
this
his
is
ass
one of
down.
the most violent on this days. And
We're not laughing
it's
about
overshadowed by Ding Dong Ding Dong. And
Oh, shall I redo that?
nah, I think that's pretty good. I mean, because everybody knows the situation. I think
we don't find this to be
statute
funny.
of limitation says we can laugh about this situation because it happened in 1999. I mean,
Yeah, it's been 20
Yeah, he definitely
years.
laughs about it.
let's say he's more known for Ding Dong Ding Dong than being stabbed 2 decades ago. Jesus
Like-
Christ! Oh
like-
man!
Hey, honey, remember that time I got stabbed in our house? Yeah, remember that time you wrote that piece of shit?
Yeah,
ding
when,
dong,
like,
ding
when
dong.
the cop showed up, like, is that George Harrison? Didn't he write Ding Dong Ding Dong? Like that's what he's known for.
That completely overshadows anything
Yeah.
he ever did in the Beatles.
Is he an
Does
organ
now.
donor? Do we need to really help him?
If I worked on Saturday Night Live, we would have a new recurring skit based around Ding,
Ding
Dong,
Dong, Ding Dong.
It would be fucking comedic gold.
Yeah, that's the group song.
Just in case there's any of you
recommendation of the week,
motherfuckers out there that are on the writing team. for
Feel
Saturday
free to
Night
steal
Live.
that because I'd like to see
Yeah.
your work on it as well.
man. Yeah,
Oh,
almost like the cowbell situation with Blue Oyster Cult. Have a whole backseat recording of Ding Dong Ding Dong.
just like
See how
they
that
think
went
Ding
down.
Dong Ding Dong is going to be like
Gonna
the
be the
next
next-
massive
oh,
hit,
yeah,
like
dude.
post Beatles hit.
It's gonna be the
like,
biggest thing since Come Together.
Yeah,
Elvis's Blue Christmas isn't going to be shit compared to this.
we'll make millions, boys. We'll go out to the pub for fucking years off this fucking single.
Oh my god. right.
2002. After being pulled over for driving erratically, Diana Ross of Supreme's fame is arrested in Tucson, Arizona for driving under the influence. With a blood alcohol level reportedly twice the legal limit, she fails all sobriety tests at the scene, reportedly falling over when asked to walk a straight line. She is charged with 3 misdemeanor DUIs.
Twice
She's-
the legal limit. It's
Damn, 3
.08.
DUIs.
At least I
She's
know
really
the state of
dancing in the
Jersey.
streets, huh?
Yeah. How do you feel about the Supremes? You like the Supremes?
I like the Supremes.
I
yeah.
love the Supremes. Yeah.
Baby,
I love
the
that
Supremes.
whole top, like Four Tops, all that stuff. Very good.
That's when music was actually like written.
Yeah, like
you
the
know,
Temptations, dude.
Yeah.
I couldn't get enough. of
bro. I
Temptations.
listened to something really interesting the other day. It was the Beach Boys. What the fuck was it? It was a Beach Boys song, God something.
God only knows.
God only knows. And it was the vocal track off of it.
Yeah.
Dude, it is fucking
Pet sounds. Yeah.
dude, it blows your fucking mind. Like if you ever get the chance to look it up, I would. Like it's just one of those things where you're like, holy shit.
I like how they're doing that a lot recently with a lot of artists, like
Yeah.
those
Isolated,
isolated vocal
yeah.
tracks, so you can see like
How
how
dope someone
talented
was,
these
yeah.
fucking musicians
Bro.
really were, dude.
It's just like we talk about this shit all the time. Like people were like born and like made to do certain things.
Yeah.
Like them cocksuckers were fucking put on this world.
But that's the problem now, because
to
you
make
see
that
people get
shit.
fucking deals because all they have to do is have a personality, because they can adjust their
presence.
voice at any
Yeah.
like Freddie Mercury was not the most attractive individual in the world, but he had a fucking voice, dude. Now
Yeah.
you get somebody that's easy to look at, and they can make your voice sound like anything they fucking want to.
Yeah.
So it works. You know, I mean, shit.
2002, the funeral of former Clash singer and guitarist Joe Strummer took place in London. Strummer had died of a suspected heart attack on December 22nd, 2002,
Hmm.
at age 50.
I think we've talked about this, Bill. You don't really like the Clash, right?
No, I like the Clash.
thought
I like
you,
Joe Strummer.
Okay.
You go, yeah.
Do you like do you like the self-title better than London Calling?
No.
Okay.
I like London Calling better.
I think London Calling's got to be. Yeah.
London Calling's
It's
probably
cliche.
in my top 5
It's-
albums.
Yeah, I was gonna say, as
honestly.
cliche
Yeah.
as it is still like
It's just
their best
ridiculously
work.
fucking good. Like
Yeah.
I'll take
Yeah.
London Calling over anything by the Beatles, anything by the Rolling Stones. Fucking, it's just fucking ridiculously good. There's
Yes.
so many genres coming together on that album.
Yeah,
Like,
Mhm.
but I'll
like
take it
Rudy
over any
Can't
Bob
Fail,
Dylan
dude.
album.
Yeah, man, like that
I
whole
think it
reggae
smokes
sound and
most of
the,
the '60s shit. Like Jimi
Yeah.
Hendrix, I probably will take a couple of his albums over it, but maybe not, because I don't know. London Calling really might be in my top 5. I don't know.
it's very good.
It's long and good. There's
Yep.
a lot of good ass songs on it. I even like Combat Rock. I'm like a big Clash fan.
Are you really? You like Combat Rock?
Straight to hell, boy? There's
Not
some
a
good
huge
shit on
Combat
there, man.
Rock fan.
Mhm.
Fucking. Sharif don't like it.
I don't know.
Gas bar,
No.
gas
No,
bar.
no.
Sharif don't like it.
All right, and moving on.
Should I stay or should I go?
Let's get to it, please.
2003, Chris Kirkwood from the Meat Puppets was arrested and accused of hitting a federal post office security guard in the head with a baton that the musician took from the guard during a struggle. The guard then shot Kirkwood in the back. The incident began over a dispute about parking with another customer at a Phoenix post office.
It's pretty badass.
Yeah.
He
That's
took
some
a fucking
shit.
security guard's baton.
It's funny
beat
too
him in
because the
head,
dudes
and
from
got
Meat
shot
Puppets
in the
were like
back.
fucking like hippies.
When I wake
this was
up
punk
in the
rock as
morning,
fuck,
beat
dude.
someone over the head with a fucking baton at the post office.
This is punk rock as fuck. This is why Kurt loved them, dude, because they knew these guys like
They
on
were ass.
paper.
They're he's probably so like not stable with all the acid he's done.
No,
and shit,
hell no.
but,
You're at the post office and you're beating up the security
That's
guard.
my fucking spot. You
Yeah.
fucking
Security guard probably came out all calm. Sir, let me just
get the
fuck away from me. Rip the baton out of him. He probably got shot in the back and kept running, dude.
Yeah.
He probably didn't feel that shit. He was so fucked
He's
up.
like, oh, I hit my spine.
Yeah.
I'm good.
He got home like, dude, you're bleeding.
What? Police shows up.
Yeah.
Sir, we know where you live.
Yeah.
Come with us.
You
All
left
right.
your car.
2009. Singer-songwriter Neil Young was made an Officer of the Order of Canada. Other Canadian musicians who have been given the award include Bryan Adams, Leonard Cohen, and the members of Rush.
So does that mean that Neil Young could pull you over?
Probably in Canada.
Yeah, that's what I
Not
mean.
here.
Officer of the order. Yeah.
Huh.
I guess. I mean, if I got pulled over,
2011. Russell Brand files to divorce Katy Perry, citing irreconcilable differences.
Aw.
According to Perry, she finds out the next day when he texts her the news.
Oh.
He fucked up, boy.
Eh,
Actually, then again, I have seen Katy Perry
I'm
recently.
sure he's not hurting too
yeah,
bad.
nah.
No.
Russell
The
Brand's
ladies
shit,
department.
dude.
Yeah.
No, I
Russell
understand.
Brand's the
I'm
shit,
talking about
dude.
like level of girl.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it's still Russell Brand.
Yeah, I don't
mean,
think
it's
he's
not-
having any problems
yeah.
in that department.
You
Yeah,
have
but
to, you have
it's-
to
but it's
think
Katy
about
Perry.
it. But look at our perspective. We see people like Katy Perry.
Katy
we see the
Perry's, like,
personality. Like,
On her way
You know what I
out,
mean?
feel like.
Yeah.
like
not
she's
gonna,
super attractive. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, from his like world, you're probably not seeing some of the women he's around. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And also
that's true.
too, like on paper, she looks good. You know, but what if she
Yeah, she could be a
farts in her
fucking
sleep all the
nutcase.
time and it smells?
fucking
You know?
snores.
Yeah,
I think she's like a Jesus freak too, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah. You know, I
She
mean, it's
started out
just she
that
could
way.
be
Yeah.
a great person or a person.
She's probably
that could suck,
Illuminati,
but
and
hey.
Russell Brand's too real for that shit.
Yeah, because we're all like those, losers who look at celebrities and like see she's hot. Like, oh God, what would you do to her? Ugh. And, like we don't get to see what they're really like as people. You know?
He's like,
Rihanna just
oh,
hit me
you
on the
kissed a girl,
text.
big deal.
Yeah,
Like,
you know what I mean.
Music news.
Today in music news, December 30th, 2019. Slipknot's Jay Weinberg has been named the world's best heavy metal drummer in a new music poll. Coincidentally, this coincides with the retirement of Chris Adler. I don't know if this has anything to do with it. But Music Radar, a website for music makers, staged a poll to find out who the best metal drummer is, and Weinberg came out on top with almost twice as many votes as the rest of the entrants combined. The other names in the running included Slayer's Paul Bostaph, Korn's Ray Luzier, Lamb of God's R. Cruz, Machine Head's Chris Contos, and Jockey Walgreen of Amon Amarth. Dude, I've seen Amon Amarth live. Their drummer's fucking nasty.
Yeah, he's good.
Art Cruz is fucking nasty. Machine Head's drums are fucking crazy. Ray Luzier is fucking insane. He's in Korn.
Yeah.
And that's probably the most not 4/4 type drumming ever. And Paul Bostaph from Slayer is pretty fucking good too.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm
I've
not
seen
gonna
him
be
live.
like a super fan, but drumming, Danny Carey. I'm surprised he wasn't even in this. He probably didn't.
Well,
even
I guess
enter.
they don't classify him as metal.
No, they classify Tool as
What
metal.
about Dave Grohl? His work on the Probot album.
But
That was like 16 years
Yeah,
ago.
but the thing
or
about it is,
whatever.
I'm not a huge Slipknot fan, but like when you just isolate a drummer.
well, dude, Joey
pretty
Jordison
good,
was a
dude.
fucking maniac behind
Yeah.
the kit, and we've seen that multiple times.
Well,
But Jay Weinberg is pretty fucking good, and he's got that shit in his blood. His dad
yeah,
is fucking Max Weinberg from Bruce Springsteen,
yeah.
and his dad's an insanely good drummer, like fucking crazy good.
Yep.
But I mean, I guess it is what it is. K-pop artists are going to jail for rape.
That's also the next thing on music news, by the way.
Not
This doesn't-
surprising
this
to
isn't
me.
the-
Honestly,
yeah,
that's
this
a
isn't-
weird
this is-
genre.
yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we never gotten into K-pop before,
Which
so
is
I've,
crazy. It's a huge sensation, but you also have to think. I think K-pop is like a cancer in the music industry. I'll be totally
Yeah.
honest with you. Yeah.
It says right here, 2 K-pop stars were sentenced to prison on Friday for raping women who were too drunk to consent to sex, and one of the men also convicted of making videos of the assaults and sharing them with friends online. The sealed Central District Court sentenced the singer-songwriter Jung Jun Young, who recorded and shared the videos, to 6 years in prison. His friend Choi Jung-hoon, a former boy band member, was sentenced to 5 years. The accused perpetrated sexual crimes against multiple women, degrading women and treating them as mere tools of sexual pleasure. Judge Kang Seong-soo said in his verdict on Friday, "It's hard to fathom the pain the victims must have suffered."
Who do we blame for this? Gangnam Style?
I don't
Is
know.
Gangnam Style K-pop?
No,
It was Korean music.
I don't know.
I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. Like, where
I
did
mean,
this
maybe
come
it's
from?
Gangnam Style. I mean, he kind of brought the shit to the mainstream.
Yeah, I don't want
With-
to take too much out of this to start talking about this because that's too much to talk about. But just given this,
And we don't really
circumstance-
know anything about K-pop.
Yeah, well, this is what's crazy about this story is like if you figure, like they had video recording of it, they shared it and stuff like that. Think about some of the artists from like our generation and even prior that we listened to, and some of the things that they may or may not have indulged in. Like,
Yeah.
if they had phones back then,
Ooh, shit.
holy fuck, dude.
I think Michael said it when he was on our show before too. He's like, if they had cameras,
Thank God they didn't have cameras back there. Yeah, dude. Fuck yeah, dude.
Calling you out, Michael.
Yeah.
All right, next thing and last thing we have here in music news is Motley Crue's Vince Neil undergoes hand surgery to treat, in quotes, Viking disease.
Keep that man.
We're gonna post. We're going to post a link on our Facebook page that you guys have to see of a video of Vince
Probably
Neil.
no. We're just gonna say it's probably one of the best Motley Crue concerts you'll ever see on video.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's Kickstart My Heart with subtitles. You're gonna have to go on our page to check it out. It's not a waste of time. You'll enjoy it.
But anyway, his condition, Viking disease.
Yeah. Motley Crue's Vince Neil underwent hand surgery this week in order to treat Dupuytren's contracture, a condition often referred to as Viking disease. The Motley Crue frontman posted news of the surgery, which took place in Nashville November 27th via his Instagram account. Hand surgery today, Neil wrote, adding the hashtags, #Viking disease, #Dupuytren's contracture, and #Nashville. Using hashtags to reveal a condition he's been dealing with. It's a condition where one or more fingers become permanently bent in a flexed position. It usually begins with small, hard swelling just under the skin of the palm, then worsens over time until the fingers can no longer be straightened. Yo, what the fuck is it with Motley Crue? Like, Mick Mars has that spine disease, and now Vince Neil's got that hand disease. Tommy Lee's got that dick disease.
Don't want to go on tour with them.
Ironically enough, they're back out there.
Yeah, so other breaking news, we heard that Motley Crue is reuniting for another reunion tour. So does this mean that they're going to have another farewell tour at the end of this run of the
Motley
reunion
Crue
tour?
is just full of shit.
Dude, I saw them. I saw Motley Crue 3 times, and they
Damn.
progressively got worse.
I'm like not even into Motley Crue like that to begin with, let alone the fact that like
my thing was it was cheap seats.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I can go see Poison, Motley Crue, and Def Leppard. I could see this show, and that would be cool. And I did.
The last time I would have wanted to see them was like the Saints of Los Angeles era.
Yeah. We
'Cause
are the Saints.
That wasn't a bad song.
I did like that song.
We are the Saints of Los Angeles.
That song was cool. I mean, Motley Crue is one of those bands to where they're just like, I don't know. They're not a band that I actively go out to listen to, but like if Dr. Feelgood comes on while, I'm listening to music, I'm not going to shut it off. Like, this shit's awesome. Bob Rock knew what he was doing.
True. Yeah, I mean, I can get down with that, but again, it's just they're not a band, especially now. Any older band that I'm going to pay to see for live, I really have to appreciate them if I'm just going to spend money on them, regardless of how they like Bob Dylan. I saw Bob Dylan; he was terrible, but I wanted to see Bob Dylan. Just
Neil
check
Young
out.
was incredible for $25.
That's what I'm saying. Like I would see Neil Young even if he just sat on stage and drooled the whole time, just because I would like to say I saw Neil Young perform live.
Yeah,
Motley Crue is not even up there on the list to say that I would just like to have seen them. And
Motley Crue is the 34,582nd greatest band of all time.
Yeah, like, and especially the way they perform live as of recent.
Yeah.
I.e.
Well, it's
the
not
video
even
we just
them. It's
recommended.
Vince Neil.
Yeah.
Vince Neil's just a fucking buffoon on stage.
But
like,
he's
all the
such
rest
a
of them are
necessary
tight.
like figment to that band where he needs to.
I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sammy Hagar took over for Van Halen, and then fucking Gary Cherone took over for Sammy. And by accounts that I've heard, the Van Halen 3 tour kicked fucking ass because Gary Cherone was able to sing. There's no reason on why Motley Crue couldn't get, like, I don't know, Michael Starr from fucking Steel Panther to sing. Have you ever heard Steel Panther do Motley Crue songs live? They're insane.
Yeah.
He sounds just like him. But that's rather here nor there. Speaking of Steel Panther, we're going to talk about some of the best cover songs.
Okay.
How do you want to start this one off? Do you just want to go around the table and
Every song Nirvana ever covered.
That's it.
Facts.
Now, do you believe that any of the Nirvana covers are better than the original songs that were covered?
All of them with the possible exception of Turn Around by Devo.
It's really ironic that you mentioned that because I actually just listened to a cover song that my fiance just sent me being This Must Be the Place by Talking Heads.
MGMT.
It was covered by the Lumineers.
Oh shit.
And it's actually really pretty fucking good. I'm not gonna lie. It's really ironic that this is the thing.
it's
So I just listened to it before we
Brandon
walked
Sell.
in here. Yeah. But it's funny. I'm trying to think even back. Like, what was like one of the first cover? Oh, actually, I think it was the Rage album. What was it called?
Goes to Tom Joad.
Can't understand.
What was the name of that album? The Rage album.
Renegades.
Well, Renegades, the song
The
itself.
albums were called Renegades.
Was it Renegades? 'Cause
The song's
Renegades of
called
Funk.
Renegades of Funk.
Yeah, that song
Yeah.
was one of the first covers I heard, and I fucking really like loved it. And then obviously going forward, the only cover I can absolutely say, I like both of them, but the one that is absolutely better is the cover being Painkiller by
that's a
Death.
good one.
And it's funny because even if you're not into like Death, also did a cover of God of Thunder. I mentioned this
Fuck
previously
yeah.
on fucking Human.
I never see that Judas Priest. I always look for that Judas Priest album. I never see it anywhere.
What, Painkiller?
Yeah.
Best album,
You never
Hands
see
down.
it
Yeah,
anywhere.
Painkiller's really
Hands
fucking
down,
good.
best
Literally, you'll
album.
see a million other fucking Judas
like
Priest
Screaming for
albums
Vengeance or British Steel or
everything else.
Yeah.
Literally, you just don't see this album.
But yeah, dude, fucking Painkiller by Death. I can literally say that that's just
Everything was done right.
everything.
Like, you hear bands that do covers of songs and like they do it their own way, but then you have Painkiller and it's just fucking spectacular from
Yep.
start to finish. Like I prefer the Death version to the Judas Priest version.
Yep.
I mean, the only thing that I like more in the Judas Priest version is like the fucking guitar like squeal in the beginning, like
Yeah, I think like the KK Downing and Glenn Tipton combination, because then you had Chuck really doing it all, and
yeah,
but he's just that good where he was able like if you listen to that album Voice of the Soul, just to get you an
Mhm.
idea of his like instrumental quality.
dude, that whole album is fucking
Phenomenal.
awesome.
I think what we should do is we should go around, because I just started with my favorite, and then I'll give my worst cover. I think we should all go around and say what's your favorite one song, favorite cover. It doesn't even have to say like it's better than the original. I'm just
Okay.
honing in on this cover specifically because it's just better. In my opinion, I love them both, but this is better. I think we should go around and pick our favorite
Favorite cover of all time.
and worst cover that you've heard.
Worst
So obviously,
cover and good cover.
My favorite being Death. The worst is Sound of Silence by Disturbed.
Oh yeah, that one sucked.
Fucking trash. And here's the thing, dude. So my friend was trying to date this girl, and he's really into music. Brings this girl over, first date. We're roommates, so I hung in my room, and I'm listening to him kind of like briefly talking between like what I'm doing with reading, listening to music, and I hear him I hear in the background, I hear Nirvana Unplugged. She wasn't really into music, but he put on the entire Unplugged album. The Nirvana album, they listen to it, and I like go out there and get something to drink, and I overhear go like, oh, like I wanted you to hear this, and puts on the Sound of Silence cover by Disturbed. And I like did one of those things where I like looked out of the kitchen towards him, and I'm like, dude, you gotta like cut this off now. Like you gotta end this now.
What
Like you
the
can't go
fuck?
from like, oh wow, he just showed you. First of all, you never seen on the Nirvana Unplugged.
Yeah.
A little weird, but okay, because she's also like our age in her mid-20s. And then after seeing that, her first recommendation is, wow, since you like this, check this out. I was like, get the fuck out. Now I'm calling the police. Like, stop. But that
Speaking
cover.
of covers,
Yeah, dude. I don't like
I want to cover
Disturbed.
your ears.
Yeah, seriously. Like, I was.
Even Tent that isn't or Land of Confusion. Fuck that shit. Too.
Oh, my God.
I-
Yeah, dude.
Now I think Land of Confusion's a good cover. I think it's one of those. No, hold the phone. I think it's one of those things to where a band took a song and they made it their own way. Do I think that it's an amazing song? Absolutely not. But do I feel like Disturbed was able to do a better cover of that song? Absolutely not. But I think if that song came out and had it not be from Genesis originally, people would probably like Land of Confusion better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know. I just think it's a cool song. I don't know. I actually don't really even mind Disturbed. Like I'm not gonna go out on a whim here and go, oh, they're fucking greatest
I
fucking
saw
new metal
Disturbed
band.
live one time, but I can't remember.
That was
I saw
probably a
him live.
mistake. like, weren't supposed to be there.
I saw him.
They just opened for somebody.
Yeah.
I feel like.
I saw Disturbed when they headlined Mayhem Fest 2000. 10, 11, 12.
Hmm.
Because Megadeth did the 25th anniversary, Rust in Peace, and then Disturbed headlined the show.
Mm.
Well, and the thing at Susquehanna Bank Center or whatever it's called now is like fucking. There can be a band playing and you're not paying attention at all if you're in the lawn.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's what
they're
happened
you're
when
just
we
in the
saw
background, like-
Device, Derek Draymond's other band, when Disturbed broke up for like 2 weeks.
Mm.
The fucking Device didn't even have a bass player. It was just Derek Draymond, a guitar player, and a drummer. And their live shit always struck me as weird because like he comes out, he's like, "Welcome, my brothers and sisters. We're gonna get in with the practices of sound.
He
tonight.
bothers me, dude.
Do you hear me?
He
Like
bothers
it's
me.
just so like that. It's just so weird.
I don't know, because I think that's again where me and you differ in the sound of like the heavy rock or hard metal or whatever genre you try to put in
Yeah.
like those bands that aren't full on death metal and aren't even just like hard rock, and then you kind of get that middle ground. It's
Yeah.
like Disturbed would be like a more of a metalcore appreciation. Like people that appreciate more of the metalcore scene can probably find something they like about Disturbed.
Yeah,
I think I'm too like I'm just like too picky when it comes to that shit sometimes, dude. And like I
You're
think
too
that
elitist to like it, Steve.
I don't like to put it out there as the elitist status. I just like to say that my music taste is better than yours to individuals that I don't like what they listen to, and they should like what I listen to. But Disturbed, no, like I'm really upset about that. I put that on the scale of them doing that cover as a level of disrespect. The same thing you two did by forcing me to have their album on my iPhone. I'll still never let that down. Now to move on before I lose my shit. Who would like to go next?
I have my best cover of all time.
Just one song, no whole Nirvana stuff.
All Along the Watchtower, Jimmy fucking Hendrix.
Oh, great.
Hell
Okay.
yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
perfect because Bob Dylan even came out and was like,
Yeah.
yep,
Yep.
That's
I agree.
all right.
that's the greatest cover of all time.
It's got to be, yeah.
Yeah, that fucking
Why
song's
did I
awesome.
I totally like overlooked that because I always just think that's a Jimmy song.
Yeah,
And then I look,
actually
what is that on
forgot
John
there was a
Wesley
cover.
Harding from Bob Dylan? That it's on there. You
Like,
just hear the
the
tambourine
amount of
coming
levels
in. With the,
he took that shit up,
Oh fuck
my
yeah!
God.
like no one's ever done that before. Like
Put it this way, I guarantee you
Facts.
more than half the population in the United States still think that that's just a Jimi Hendrix
Yeah.
I
song.
honestly thought it was too until like I
did too
looked
in the
into it.
beginning. Yeah, I did too in the beginning. But I'm saying to this day, I bet you people still don't know.
Oh,
everything
fuck yeah.
about it. The bass is crazy. The drums are crazy.
Everything.
The guitar is obviously
Yeah.
insane. Like it's just a ridiculous track.
It's a good cover.
And
100%.
The Bob Dylan version, not for nothing. It's nothing spectacular.
No, it's not.
It's got good lyrics.
It's
and
funny
Jimmy just
because if
rolled
I
with
think
that.
if Jimi Hendrix didn't cover that song, like it's a good song, but if I heard John Wesley Harding, that's what All Along the Watchtower is on from Bob Dylan.
Mhm.
If I was listening to that album, that song probably would never have stood out to me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I was just like, man,
It's all right.
It's
Another
whatever. It's
Bob
another
Dylan
Bob
song.
Dylan song. Yeah. All right, here we go. Tambourine and some fucking harmonica. Bob Dylan just rasping away. Whatever.
I don't know. My worst.
Doesn't have to be definitive. Just a cover you didn't like.
I hate all the like metalcore like covers of like pop songs.
Oh yeah,
I
like the
hate
Punk
that whole
Goes Pop
thing.
and shit.
Uh,
August Burns Red did like Baby One More Time. A Day to Remember did
Total cringe.
Since You've Been Gone.
That one's actually alright.
Yeah, that one's good.
No.
But yeah, I'd never been a giant fan of that whole like Punk Goes Pop shit. Yeah,
Yeah.
like that was cool. Like that like breakdown part.
There was this guy who
Might be his
showed
favorite
me,
part.
I forget the band. I don't know if it was Suicide Silence. Someone covered a Taylor Swift song.
That wasn't Suicide Silence.
Who
I
the
can guarantee
fuck
you that.
was it? Someone covered a Taylor Swift song, metalcore band, showed it to me. And like the first time I heard it, I was like,
Is that song? Fuck. I can't even. I heard it so many times at work, and now I can't.
Love
fucking-
Song?
no, it's
it's amped up, Simple Plan.
yeah, dude, fucking the band, I think it was I Prevail, they covered a Taylor Swift song. And I remember when the person showed it to me, they were like so stoked. They were like, bro,
You're gonna love this.
you gotta hear this cover, bro. Just got done lifted about 400 in the gym after I did, another test run. And, here, listen to this. So I listened, and I'm like, oh.
Terrible.
I didn't want to hurt his feelings, so I was like,
ears.
it's okay.
Did you drop a ball while you were in there?
Yeah, and it's funny, like it was one of those songs. I just didn't want to get into the argument. I didn't want to be like, dude, it's crap, and he's loving it. So I just was like, respect. But dude, The guy,
Sounds like the protein powder's going to your head.
bro, the guy played it around me so many times. Like, yo, I'm playing that song, bro. Remember I showed you this? It's awesome, right? And I had to be like around people that respected me and be like, yeah, man, it's okay. I'm like, dude, you fucking like that shit? I'm like, I'm trying to be nice, bro. Because he's over like, bro, play the new I Prevail this week, bro. And I'm like, and this is me coming out to you if you hear it. I don't like it. I don't like it.
Is he a listener of the podcast?
Probably not. But if he ever is and he goes back, I'll mention to him you were shouted out on the
That's
show.
the great thing about podcasts.
He knows who he
the
is.
episodes are like long, so like
Chances
most
are.
people don't go back.
Yeah, but
Like-
but I'm putting it on the
Yo,
record.
was that
I'm-
about me?
I'm not putting his name out there for legality purposes, but he knows who he is if he mentions this moment because I never had the conversation with him, but he could see my behavior every time he played it. Like I looked like
Sometimes an
Squidward
expression's
from
hard to find.
SpongeBob that keeps getting annoyed by SpongeBob, and you slowly see him just deteriorate internally. Like every time he played the song, a piece of me just died inside. Oh, blank space, but I prevail again. Almost, I'm gonna commit suicide. Almost there.
So
All right.
did you do your shit?
I don't want to be cliche and go like, oh, Van Halen did that cover album, Diver Down, and they were all really good.
So
But
you'll go with You Really Got Me, which was before.
yeah, but
that.
I don't want to do You Really Got Me because that one's always like yeah, that's like the fucking like the quintessential cover song.
You can't put an arm around a memory by Guns N' Roses.
Mm.
Spaghetti incident. It's definitely a fucking incident.
No, the devil.
A spaghetti
Um,
accident.
Probably the best cover. Honestly, one of my favorites, not because you just mentioned it now, but because I've listened to it within the past week, is Black Diamond.
By
Replacements. Like it's just good.
Real quick, I gotta go back. I remembered my least favorite cover song of all time:
What is it?
Megadeth, Public Enemy #1.
Really?
Terrible.
You like that word less than No More Mr. Nice Guy?
The No More. Well, they're just all bad.
No,
you know what?
Yeah,
I
no, I
actually
probably
heard-
do like Public Enemy #1
more than
less.
Yeah.
that. Oh, less?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
And probably my least favorite cover. My least favorite cover is
And
No
I
More
met
Mr.
Davey
Nice
Stain.
Guy.
You know, I thought of another one. I don't know if you like it or not,
What?
because a lot of people do. Bad Company by Five Finger Death Punch.
Ooh, yeah, terrible.
Fucking
All right.
trash, dude.
They're just a trash band in
Trash,
general.
dude.
But
I don't.
Here comes Bill Stance.
No.
let me support the right wing fucking cock rock band.
The correct terminology is butt
Cock
rock. Butt rock, Connor.
Cock rock.
On this
episode of Bill's
justification for commercial music.
I'm not a giant fan of Five Finger Death Punch. However, I feel like the Bad Company cover isn't as bad as you're trying to make it seem. What? Hold on. Let's go into this. What don't you like about it?
I don't like the bridge. I don't like the hook. I hate the vocals because I listened to that song for a reason. That like,
Dude,
You know,
it's a cover. It's the
Six
same. It's the same layout as the original song.
but it's not, dude. They had that riff in there. I tried to make it more metal in the chorus.
Yeah.
Cause it's bad company.
They chunked
They
it
like
up.
they make like
yeah,
they tried.
I
See,
guess.
this is the thing when bands try to take it and make it their own. I get it, but when you try to add
Their own
more
just
in
isn't
to
good in
make
the
it
first
your
place.
specific sound, and you're taking away from like. There's a reason I listen to Bad Company, not just
Yeah.
because of song, but because it produces a certain feeling, like the slow intro, Paul Rogers' voice, da 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 da. Same thing with like Death. I get a different feeling because Death made that their own. It's funny because I heard that song, and that was the song that really got me to recognize Five Finger Death Punch because I never even saw like the hype and the shit talk on them. I never put Five Finger Death Punch in like that class of shit bands, that class of mocked bands. I heard that cover, and it was like the same thing with the I Prevail thing. Someone showed it to me, and they treated it as like that was that was their song. Like, did you
Yeah.
hear the song Bad Company by Five Finger? And I was just like, I listened to it, I'm like, fuck, man, because like I love that song.
Yeah.
I saw.
Now, would you like it better if Ivan Moody wasn't singing it?
I don't even think the vocals were so much as the problem. I think it's because they try to
Just
put that
the idea.
aggressive tone to it to add that like Five Finger Death Punch like
Yeah,
heavy metal sound to it, and it just didn't work in the way
I can
that the
agree with
song
that.
went.
However, I wouldn't say that that fucking like No More Mr. Nice Guy is a fucking better cover.
Well, you already mentioned it. I'm
Yeah, but you know
putting
what I
they're all
mean.
in the same boat because I respect Megadeth, but that cover was trash.
Okay.
The cover was just as I would almost say that cover is almost as bad.
Hmm.
They're around the same par. Like Sound of Silence is on a whole different scheme.
Yeah, dude, that's just fucking shit, like full blown shit.
And then you have that whole tier of like No More Mr. Nice Guy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Now,
obviously,
what about Careless Whisper by Seether?
Take it or leave it.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm
That
not
was
super
actually the
bummed
first.
about it.
That was the first version of that song that I heard.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I never heard the fucking Wham version. then I heard the Wham version. I'm like, these motherfuckers ripped off Seether.
Yeah, okay.
I'm like,
Yeah,
yo,
tell
those
them
South
that.
Africans must be pissed.
Yeah, dude.
But I mean, as far as covers go, I feel like if a band's able to do the song justice, and I don't know, I mean, I guess I think about it in a different way. Like if they're able to breathe new life into the song with new technology and whatever, then that's what makes a good cover. Like you think of the difference between like the Kinks, You Really Got Me, and Van Halen's You Really Got Me.
Yes.
There's like 10 years difference in there, and obviously the level of skill between the Kinks, the Kink, and fucking Van Halen.
Yeah.
Like there's obviously a major, a major
Kinks are leagues ahead.
what? Then
Yeah, I was gonna say no, right.
that's funny.
That was really good.
But then like you hear like Diver Down where they did like Dancing in the Streets and shit, and they basically turned Dancing in the Streets into another song. And
Yeah.
at that point, I mean, I know people love the original version, but like the Dancing in the Streets Van Halen version has become like the soundtrack to like a summer.
Yeah.
Like you can't go to a summer barbecue without hearing that version.
I think it's also to the influence of a band when they're covering it. Like Death obviously had influence from Judas Priest.
Yeah.
Five Finger Death Punch, I don't think they took a lot of their sound from Bad Company. Disturbed, I don't think they took a lot of their sound from Simon and Garfunkel.
Yeah.
So then you think of other covers like Shadow Play was covered by The Killers,
Mhm.
who was done by Joy Division. They kind of came up with that same post-punk, dark vibe where it's like when they cover that song, they had direct influence. Same thing with what I mentioned with like the Lumineers covering the Talking Heads. They
Mhm.
both had that weird art, indie, hipster vibe where it's like that was able to like correlate where they were going to take that sound. They already had that writing direction, that musical sense of what they were going for.
Well, the other thing too that we're failing to mention is the band that shall not be named.
Mhm.
They did a few extremely good covers. Turn the Page.
Yeah.
I like that better than Bob Seger's version.
Yeah.
Tuesday's Gone. And that actually had Gary Rosington from fucking Leonard Skinner on it.
Their cover of
Along-
Last Caress was way better than the original.
No way.
I'm just kidding.
Don't do that. My heart. My fucking chest.
They also did
Okay. That scared the shit out of me. I thought you were serious. I was about to leave. I was like, I can't do this anymore.
didn't
I'm
they
done.
also do Die Die My Darling too?
No, they did Hybrid Moment. No, Attitude.
Yeah.
They did Attitude.
No, wait. Guns N' Roses did Attitude.
So did the other
Oh.
band. Yeah, live. And then they did some Diamond Head covers. Funny about that, Megadeth also did a Diamond Head cover on one of their live shows, and it's fucking awesome. I'm gonna play this for you after when we're done here. This is probably how I can't believe that it's Dave singing on it because
Mhm.
like I wish he had sounded like this. I don't know what it is, but he just does this song. You got afterwards. I gotta show you this cover, his Diamond Head cover. It's fucking excellent.
And probably another good one from this particular band is Whiskey in the Jar.
Yeah.
I mean, like Thin Lizzy's version, because obviously Thin Lizzy covered it because it's like a I forget how they classify it, but it's like an Irish like drinking song.
Folkish.
Yeah,
like
folk
culture, yeah.
folk song, whatever.
Yeah.
And Thin Lizzy covered it, and obviously this band was very, very highly influenced by Thin Lizzy, and they covered it, and I thought that came out extremely well.
Yeah.
Wax for my daddy.
All right.
First produce my pistol. Send and deliver. For the devil he may catch ya.
So
to wrap up this topic, how do we feel about cover songs? Do we feel like these artists should leave these things alone? Do we feel like continue to do these covers as long as it's within good taste?
yeah, I agree with
If
that.
you want to do it, but don't. If you do it like crap, don't expect anybody to like mince their words.
I hate when someone
it.
can take something and then like make it to the point, like I said with the Five Finger Death Punch thing, where it's like put out there as like when Death did Painkiller. Obviously, Death was not on the map as some commercial bands,
Yeah.
but they weren't producing that song to be listened. It was just on the album.
Yep.
Like the God of Thunder remake cover was just on the re-release of Human. It was just an added track. Like they weren't like the Five Finger Death Punch. Like they tour and
released
play
it as a
these
single.
songs. They play it live. Like
It was a single. They made a music video for
and
it
that's
and everything.
what's fucked up. Like, don't
Yeah.
make it like that. Like, just pay a little homage and move on. Unless it turns out to be like, if you really can say like it gets the fame and notoriety. Like, I mean, think about All on the Watchtower.
Yeah,
I agree with you touring and playing that song because that's just a whole level of like talent. That's just you can't compare that to the some of the bands we named.
And it's like I said with Van Halen, with "You Really Got Me," like that basically sparked their career.
Of course. Yeah, that's another song
Like-
I heard before
like that
the
was like
original
the-
too. Yeah.
Yeah, like that was the
Yep.
first single off Van Halen 1.
Yep.
All right, so last week we suggested for you guys to watch the docudrama "Soaked in Bleach," directed by Benjamin Statler. Now, since this is Connor's forte, and this is his, level of expertise or area of expertise, I'm going to let him take you through the start to finish of this film.
Well, we're not going to go start to finish.
Not start
Yeah,
to
it's
finish.
not really a
Yeah,
movie
yeah,
that's like
yeah.
that. It's Tom Grant got hired by Courtney Love in 1994 to track down Kurt Cobain, who was missing after he had checked himself out of rehab. Although he didn't check himself out. He left the rehab and flew back to Seattle. He's a private investigator was hired to find him. This was Tom Grant. Through his couple-day long search for Cobain, he noticed irregularities from Courtney's behavior and associates of the two. And when Kurt died, he kind of thought something was fishy and kept his work up. This movie's like the display of all the evidence and other experts that he's teamed up with over the years to present the case that he did not kill himself and his death was orchestrated by Courtney Love.
And we all know your opinion on this.
Courtney killed him.
What do you think, Steve?
I object.
What do you think, Bill?
All the evidence points towards that she did it.
Exactly.
That's fine.
I mean, I don't know that the argument can be seen for both ways. Definitely be seen for both ways, but
No.
there is no denying that the evidence is there that she did it. And
I don't want to start getting into the bullet points of the movie where it's like all people, if you're interested in wondering whether he killed himself or not, watch the movie.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
the best movie to watch on the topic.
yeah, Kurt and
There
Courtney
is
was
some
horse
cheesy
shit.
reenactments and yada yada, but let's
Mhm.
get some flack for that, I see. But as far as the work that's been accumulated and is presented here, I think it's a solid piece.
Yeah, I agree. Now, what are you going to rank this, Connor?
What are you rating this, Connor?
84%, Steve.
84%.
What about you, Steve?
I'm gonna give this. I'm gonna give it a 68%.
68%. Damn.
68%, and I'm gonna say that because it is worth a watch. But it was. It wasn't convincing to the point of like absolutely I believe it, but it was
Almost
enough
don't
to
need
say
a
like
Hollywood
there's-
production to get the point.
No, there was enough evidence in there for me to like really start thinking. But again, I already had those thoughts in mind, and I really think at the end of the day, regardless if it was going to get to a point where she did orchestrate it, I still think he himself was on the brinks, and the suicide is logical enough. So, I mean, obviously, like I said, the movie's worth a watch, but
He was worth more dead than alive, bro.
well, from his perspective, too,
Business
I mean,
is business. There's also a CIA contingent in the situation that wasn't discussed in the film.
yeah, okay, I'll get to that another day. I stick by my 68%.
Yeah, I'm going to rank this one as 65. I mean, I think it's way better than Kurt and Courtney. 100% way better.
65?
Yeah, 65.
That's it, man.
Yeah, I can only do a 65. I feel like if this were like a Hollywood production, I'd probably rank it way more. Like the cheesy reenactments kind of killed it for me. I just wish Tom Grant would go to like Spielberg or something and be like, listen, we have to make this into a movie.
Spielberg's with the CIA, bro. He don't want to touch the Kurt Cobain story.
He's got to go. He's got to go to Quentin Tarantino.
The Tom Grant shit just
Tarantino would be a badass
Tarantino
movie.
could do a good Kurt Cobain film.
All right, so with our 3 combined
RZA could do
scores,
the music like Kill Bill.
True.
we have a 72.
Bullshit.
We're actually higher than a lot of people here. Rotten Tomatoes gave it
Also
a
bullshit.
30. IMDb gave it a 74%.
That's about right.
IMDb's
And
starting to be on the right track.
Metacritic gave it 50.
That's some bullshit.
That's
The
damn
reviews is from Brian Tallarico from RogerEbert.com. This is a bad film filled with awkward reenactments, poorly designed graphics, scripted interview segments, ominous music, and enough jumping to conclusions. I'm surprised someone didn't throw out their back.
He's on RogerEbert.com, and his name is not Roger Ebert, so he really. I'm not even gonna get into that, but I think we all know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
John
Lost.
DeFore from the Hollywood Reporter says, by the time Wecht declares that this is a death that simply has to be reinvestigated, even a viewer with no special
John DeFore.
attachment to Cobain's legacy is likely to agree.
There we are. I fucks with John DeFore at the Hollywood Reporter. He's on to it, man.
So you heard it here.
Yeah.
Next week, however, our group suggestion is Sid and Nancy, directed by Alex Cox.
Starring
Courtney Love's in
as,
that movie.
Yeah, she is very briefly.
Yeah.
Nancy Spungen played by Chloe Webb, and if you've seen obviously the Batman
Was it
movies,
Christian?
Gary Oldman. Gary Oldman plays
Sid Vicious?
Sid Vicious.
Should have been Christian Slater.
No way, dude. Have you seen it,
Not in a long ass time.
bro? Gary Oldman does the fucking job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
like
yeah.
Gary Oldman and everything, but I feel like Christian Slater just had the more Sid Vicious look.
Yeah, well, Christian Slater at this point in time, I think, was like slowly slipping off the map.
No,
I think
True
Gary-
Romance was like after Sid and Nancy.
Heather's was after.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He was on the map, bro. He was
Yeah.
like perfect.
Yeah.
All right, so
Gary
in order
Oldman
to
got
catch
that.
the review of this movie, you're going to have to tune in next week. Now let's get into our personal suggestions for this week. For staying true to the topic about covers, I want to suggest the Suicide Silence cover of Rob Zombie's Super Beast as a hidden track on their No Time to Bleed album. It's actually a really fucking good cover, and I know you're not a giant fan of Suicide Silence, but this cover does the job.
So, my choice today is the 1987 album by Scott LaRock and KRS-One. It's called Memory of a Man and His Music. The recommended track is 9mm Go Bang. What da da dang, what da 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 dang. Hey, listen to my 9mm Go Bang.
I feel like I've heard that.
Fucking fire, dude.
I've heard that before.
So good, dude.
Okay. I'm going to bring it back to 91.
Oh.
To Apocalypse Now. Seriously.
I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, that's
That
my
song's
highlighted
the
track. You
shit,
put me
dude.
onto that,
I
and
love
that's the best song on the album. I feel like. I feel like it's honestly my favorite Tupac album. I know I recommended Thug Life before,
Yeah.
and I think maybe Me Against the World, but I'm bringing it back to
Dude.
Tupac because
Tupac
Nice.
now
he
is
stays
that-
relevant in the car.
This is good.
All right, guys, so that wraps it up for this week. Once again, we'd like to thank you for listening and your continued support for this podcast. We're going to keep doing them as long as you keep listening. As always, you can catch us on our social medias, facebook.com/RATM podcast, Twitter and Instagram at RATM podcast. And as always, our email is open at ratmpodcast@gmail.com. And, you know, as we said before last season, and it's still staying true even to this season, if you have a band that you want to get spotlighted on our podcast, you know, our reach isn't giant, but it's probably a little bit more than your average local band could get. So if you want, you know, to submit your music, you can email us links, MP3s, videos, whatever you want to ratmpodcast@gmail.com. But like I said before, that wraps it up for this week. This is Rage Against the Mainstream signing off. I'm Bill.
Connor,
Steve.
Have a good night, guys. Thank you for listening.
you too, bro.